สนับสนุนโดย AIS 4G Advanced 4G ที่เร็วที่สุดจาก AIS
รุ่นใหม่ Isuzu D-Max 1.9 DDI Blue Power
Deng Xiaoping said
Yes.
that Mao was 70% right, 30% wrong, perhaps.
Yes.
Don't agree with his statement or not?
No.
You don't agree?
I don't agree. I mean, the thing is, his was not carefully calculated. In Chinese, there is an expression, which means 70 right
30.
and 30. There is an expression.
Yeah.
Basically, it means Mao did more good things than bad things. I disagree. But I didn't blame Mao. And in the following years, I started to blame Madam Mao, like many people.
Jung Chang was
And Jung
bad.
Chang, yes. And until, now I remember very well, 1974, by then I had learned a little English. A friend was working in Beijing,
Yes.
and he gave me a copy of Newsweek.
Yes.
And there was an article about China, and there were two little pictures, Mao and Madam Mao. And the caption says, Madam Mao is Mao's eyes, ears, and mouth. And then suddenly, somehow it felt like a window was opened. And I suddenly, my mind became clear. And I suddenly thought, of course, Mao was responsible.
For all this.
For all this. I mean, it can't be Jung Chang. It can't be his wife. You know, how come that I didn't realize that. But you see, that is perhaps one point with Wild Swans. I mean, I think the writer J.G. Ballard said, it's an unforgettable portrait of the brain death of a nation. I mean, I'm a reasonably intelligent man, and it took me 8 years.
To realize.
To realize Mao was responsible. And today, I mean, all these intelligent people are still saying, Madam Mao, the Gang of Four.
Still blaming her.
They're blaming, how ridiculous. I mean, without Mao, they were nothing. They were so easily.
But by then,
done away
perhaps Mao was not really himself because he was too ill to know anything. And Madame Jiang Jing and the Gang of Four were, doing things to him.
It's not true.
No?
I mean, if you don't have to interview people around Mao. If you just look at the memoirs they wrote, I mean, Mao's mind was clear right to the end. I mean, he used these four people. These four people were really nobodies. Two of them were writers.
Right.
Writers.
Right.
I mean, why would writers be leaders? And the reason was their particular contribution to Mao was to package Mao's self-serving goals in the ideological garb to make it look attractive and deceptive. And Madame Mao was the person who did Mao's dirty work. That so dirty that other people wouldn't do. So that's why everybody hated her. And this is now written by quite high up people.
Yes.
By like the chief of the navy and people in Deng Xiaoping's camp and so on. Before Mao died, Mao did feel vulnerable, and he was nearly blind, although it's only caricatures. What's this thing? Anyway, he was nearly blind. He felt vulnerable, so he said to these army chiefs, he knew they all hated Jiang Qing. He said, he used a historical story and said, you can basically you can get rid of Jiang Qing and her gang but leave me to die in my bed. So this is why, less than a month after Mao died, Jiang Qing and the Gang of Four were got rid of without, and they couldn't resist anything. They had no army, no police, anything.
And when Mao died, how old were you then?
I was 24.
You were?
24.
And you were in China then?
I was in China.
Did you cry?
I think I had no tears.
No tears.
But I made the appropriate sounds. Because we were lined up. I was in the university, in English, but we were called to the courtyard.
Yes.
We were lined up, and it was announced to us. And I felt a tremendous sense of euphoria.
Euphoria,
Yes.
not sadness, not sorrow.
None at all. But I registered that everybody seemed to be crying.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I would be in trouble if I didn't cry. So I put my head on the shoulder of the girl in front of me because she was crying.
She was crying.
And I was sort of heaving. I made a noise.
So you were acting.
I was acting. And anyway, she turned around and tried to hug me, and I put her in her place. And I think many people were like me.
Right.
But of course, many were also genuinely crying.
You think that was justified?
Well, no. One thing, crying is infectious.
Yep.
Crying and mass hysteria is infectious. I always remember at the beginning of the Cultural Revolution, we were constantly made to watch films of mass crowds on Tiananmen, shouting "Long live Chairman Mao," crying and so on. When you watch it, people couldn't help from crying.
Yes.
I mean, there was a friend of mine whose parents were the victims.
Yep.
I mean, he had absolutely no reason to feel I mean, he was very smart. He said psychologically he couldn't help cry. And this is one reason. The other reason was not to be seen to be crying is dangerous.
It is politically
It's
dangerous.
politically dangerous, like me. I mean, people might have thought I was crying. Now, for these who genuinely cried, I think people were taught to act throughout their lives. And perhaps, crying for Mao was just another act in their life, another programmed acting in their programmed lives.
So Zhou Enlai, when he died, did you cry?
I was genuinely, no, I didn't cry. I think genuine grief may not.
You were grieving?
Yes, may not
Because
express
you
itself.
think Zhou Enlai was a good man?
Yes,
But he served Mao.
she served Mao.
So if he served
Well-
Mao, how could he be a good man?
Well, the thing is, that's right, because my description of Zhou Enlai in my Mao biography is very different now from my feeling towards him, and even from my description of him in Wild Swans.
I see.
I mean,
So
this
your
is
view
because
about him has changed.
I've learned a lot more about him, and I've become more rational, and I've come to the conclusion through this masses of document sources. But at the time, we focused on his good things. That I mean, we meaning people, a lot of people like me were genuinely grieving for Zhou Enlai, and we thought he was our only hope. We did not have much hope. He was our only hope.
So
ช่วงหน้า
enjoy life as a writer and missing nothing.
Well, missing, of course, missing seeing my books on sale in China.
สนับสนุนโดย AIS 4G Advance 4G ที่เร็วที่สุดจาก AIS ยูโรเค้กอร่อยทุกที่ทุกเวลา Premium Outlet Factory Outlet ของแบรนด์เนมระดับพรีเมียม
We meaning people, a lot of people like me were genuinely grieving for Zhou Enlai, and we thought he was our only hope. We didn't have much hope. He was our only hope.
Right. So what do you think of China today? You're hopeful. You think China is changing in the right direction?
I think there are many things I feel extremely happy and excited about. I mean, just by coming to Bangkok, you see how many Chinese tourists.
Oh yes, yes.
I mean, for people, middle class families, to be able to go abroad to do tourism means tremendous amount to me, to them. I'm extremely happy about that. So I think in that way the country is going in absolutely right
the
direction.
Economic standard,
living standard, giving people a good life, and I feel very happy about that. And making attempts to right many wrongs, to do all sorts of things, from the environmental to narrowing the gap, or even though the gap is big, but every country, the gap of which point is big. So, they're doing their best.
Do you think Xi Jinping, Li Keqiang are doing a good
don't
job?
comment on individuals.
No comment.
Because I haven't studied them. No, but let me answer your question. But I feel intensely unhappy with the ideological. Is that they are on the ideological side, on books being banned, on more repressive, be more repressive.
More than before.
More than before.
So that means they're afraid of views that are different from the party.
I guess so, yeah, I guess. So losing control, and of course, precisely because the society is becoming more liberal.
Yes.
I mean, they need tighter control on this key area.
Social media, you cannot stop social media.
You certainly can. I mean, social media is under very tight control. I mean, my name, for example, is blocked out.
No, you cannot.
I mean, you can
search,
you can just.
Jung Chang, you cannot.
Not in English, in Chinese. You find there was a time there were masses, even when Mao's book was published, there were masses of. I mean, they would just delete everything. There were different ways. In the case of me, I'm deleted, so I'm a non-person. But there were also people who make comments they don't like. They would just block the comments.
That's right.
Block the comments. And
But can,
I mean, they have ways of
do you
control.
get into Weibo? No. Can you get into to be a member?
I'm not a member. I don't
use
care.
social media?
I don't.
Not even Facebook?
No, I don't use. No, absolutely not. I've got other things to do. Let other people do Facebook. I've got my books to write.
I know.
So
you do writing every day?
I do even like when I'm at home when I can. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That's part of your
It's
daily
my
life.
pleasure. Yes,
it's a pleasure.
it's
and
my
work.
life.
And work as well.
is my pleasure and
great.
my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is your opinion about Lu Xun as a writer?
Oh, by the way, yes, not to talk about, not to comment.
Yeah.
In my research about Mao's team,
Yes.
you know, usually people think Zhou Enlai was much more liberal
Yes.
than Liu Shaoqi.
Yes.
Liu Shaoqi was the hardline.
Right.
It's the other way around.
Really?
Yes. So now I feel when I know things like that, I feel you must never judge just on the surface. You always have to know
Right.
the
Right.
inside
But
story.
Zhou Enlai's image was always the liberal face.
Yes.
The one who was.
He looks good. He's charming. Charm can
Yes, yes, yes.
carry you a
Right.
long way.
Right, right. But you think the fact that China has now shifted away from communism is a good thing or bad thing?
Well, I don't know about the shifting from
Because there's no
after
more a
Mao.
communist country. They're using every capitalist method.
But they're using a lot of communist way of control.
So it's a mixture of communism
It's a
and capitalism.
mixture.
So you don't know whether it's good or bad.
What do you mean I don't know? I just told you. I think there are very good things
Yeah.
and there are very bad things.
Which is happening there. Lu Xun.
Yes.
I'm very confused as to whether people think Lu Xun was Mao's lackey or whether he was a real independent writer or.
You know, again, I haven't done any research.
No, but have you read him? Of course, you have read him. Of course.
I read
Yeah.
every word of his.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've read his.
But I need to know.
The motives.
I need to know a bit of more background. But I read him when I was young,
Yeah, yeah.
when I was in China, and I since then.
When you were young and you read Lu Xun, what was the impression then? He was a great writer.
Yes, he was a great writer. He has tremendous word power.
Word power. Was he political? Of course.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Very political.
And he was leftist. He was
He was
pro-communist.
leftist.
Pro-party.
Yes.
So, as a normal reader, would I get anything out of his literature as a literary man?
I think yes. I think yes. He's not so overtly propagandist. I mean, you definitely can learn from his word power.
So, how's life in London these days?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Writing, a new
Writing.
book, enjoying
Yes.
life,
Yes.
and missing China.
Well, I mean, I talk to my mother every other
She's
day.
still there,
She's
in
in
China.
China.
How old is she?
85.
Strong still, healthy,
Has problems, but it's fine.
and she doesn't want you to go back to stay.
No,
No,
definitely not.
you don't want her to go to live with you. in
No, she
London?
doesn't speak English. Her roots is in China. She's,
Your father?
my father died in the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah.
As
But your mother survived that.
yeah.
Do you think, in terms of being Chinese or British now? Because you spend a lot of time now in England. No?
I don't have this root thing.
No?
I just identity thing.
No.
That is not a big thing for me. I mean,
But
my
what is your
house,
identity?
my
Chinese?
identity.
Still
no,
Chinese?
I don't feel this identity thing. I don't go for identity. I mean, I love London.
Yeah.
I feel most at home there. But my house looks Chinese. I have Chinese furniture and art. I'm concerned about what's happening in China. I read news about China.
Yes. But you can vote in England, right? You're
I
a
vote in
citizen now, so
England,
you vote
yes,
in England.
yes.
You cannot vote in China. You don't have a say in China, but you have a say
Nobody
in England.
has, well, very few people. The people who have a say can be counted on the fingers of the two hands.
So you don't have an identity problem.
No,
No, you dream in Chinese or English.
I don't dream.
You don't dream. When you speak, when you express yourself better in English or in Chinese?
Both.
No, equally.
I write my books twice. My Mao biography, for example, I first wrote it in English, and then I translated into Chinese. But by translation, I rewrote it
You write the original script in
English, and then I
and then
do
you
it
do
in
a
Chinese.
Chinese version.
Yes, my Nostalgia first in English and then in Chinese.
And you're
I
equally
think,
fluent.
I think I'm equally fluent.
That's great. Yeah, very rare to be equally fluent.
Well, I don't know about equally. Nobody has come and measured me, and I feel at home.
So Wild Swans has now been translated into how many languages?
I now can't remember the up-to-date thing. It's nearly 40.
Nearly 40.
Anyway, my books are translated to more than 40 languages.
40 languages.
Some in Wild Swans, Mao. Some books are in Mao.
Yes.
Some languages had Mao, but not Wild Swans, and vice versa. But 40, I would say.
Wild Swans, of course, is the best-selling book.
Yes.
How many million copies so far?
13, 14, something.
Million.
Yes.
13, 14 million copies. And still
13, yeah, 13.
13.
Not 30.
13 million. That's a fantastic figure.
Yes.
And it's still on sale these days.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, enjoying life as a writer and missing nothing.
Well, missing, of course, missing seeing my books on sale in China.
Has been translated in Chinese, of course.
Yes, I did. I just told you I did it. I did
Yourself,
all my
huh?
books. Yes.
Yourself. You
Yes.
don't allow another translator
No,
to
well, my brother translated Wild Swans, but I worked on it. And the other two biographies I translated because they use many more sources, which only I know are where.
Sure. And they're on sale in Hong Kong, Taiwan, everywhere except China. And they're all very well received, obviously.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for
very
your
happy.
time.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah.